When Frank Sinatra passed away on May 14, 1998, the world mourned the loss of one of its greatest cultural icons. Known as All Blue Eyes, Sinatra wasn't just a singer or an actor. He was a force of nature who shaped music, film, and even American politics. His funeral was expected to be a grand affair, filled with the biggest names in Hollywood and beyond. And for the most part, it was. Luminaries like Tony Bennett, Sophia Loren, and Liza Minnelli were there to say their final goodbyes. But surprisingly, some famous names were nowhere to be seen. A handful of well-known figures who once knew Sinatra personally or professionally chose not to attend. Their reasons ranged from bitter personal feuds to unresolved anger to sheer principle. In this video, we reveal 6 actors who refused to attend Frank Sinatra's funeral, and the fascinating, messy, and sometimes shocking reasons why. 1. Marlon Brando. A bitter rivalry that never healed. Marlon Brando was one of the most transformative actors in film history, known for redefining masculinity on screen and rejecting Hollywood's fake glamour. But his connection to Frank Sinatra was a volatile one, rooted in resentment. The two starred together in the 1955 film Guys and Dolls, where tensions ran so high that the feud became legendary. Sinatra despised Brando's method acting approach, mocking him as pretentious and slow. Brando, in return, found Sinatra arrogant, dismissive, and obsessed with control. On set, they barely spoke outside of scenes. Brando later admitted in interviews that he loathed Sinatra's need for dominance and his mafia connections, which frightened him. By the time Sinatra died, Brando was long retired from the public eye and refused an invitation to the funeral. According to Brando's associates, he wanted no part in honoring a man who terrified more people than he inspired. Brando's absence was noted, but not unexpected given their bitter history. 2. Mia Farrow. The pain of a broken marriage. No person may have had a more complicated relationship with Frank Sinatra than Mia Farrow, who married him in 1966 when she was only 21 and he was 50. Their marriage was brief but dramatic, ending in divorce 2 years later after endless arguments over Mia's career ambitions, which Sinatra disapproved of. But it wasn't just the divorce that scarred Mia. It was how Sinatra allegedly controlled, manipulated, and undermined her for years, even after their split. When Sinatra died, Farrow made the quiet but firm decision not to attend the funeral. Insiders close to her said that while she publicly called Sinatra the great love of her life in interviews, she could not reconcile that with the private pain he had caused her. To her, attending would have been dishonest. Instead, she chose to stay away, sending quiet condolences, but no public appearance, a move that the media quickly picked up on. 3. Peter Lawford. A friendship destroyed by the Kennedys. Peter Lawford, the British actor and member of the famed Rat Pack, was once part of Sinatra's closest inner circle. But their friendship ended in one of the most bitter personal betrayals in Hollywood history. Lawford married Patricia Kennedy, sister of President John F. Kennedy. Sinatra desperately wanted to be closer to the Kennedys and hoped Lawford would make it happen. When JFK canceled a planned stay at Sinatra's house, reportedly over concerns about Sinatra's mafia ties, Sinatra blamed Lawford entirely. Their friendship shattered. Sinatra cut Lawford off so completely that Lawford was ejected from Rat Pack events, replaced by Bing Crosby. Lawford spent the rest of his life as an outcast in that world. Though Lawford himself died in 1984, his widow and family refused the funeral invitation for Sinatra, stating that the betrayal ran too deep. In interviews, Lawford's family said they believed Sinatra had humiliated and broken Peter's spirit, and they would not pretend otherwise, even in death. 4. Shirley MacLaine. A principle over friendship. Shirley MacLaine had worked with Sinatra on several films and shared countless moments at parties and Rat Pack gatherings. But as time passed, MacLaine grew deeply uncomfortable with Sinatra's political associations, particularly his ties to the mafia and his apparent support for powerful men accused of terrible abuses. MacLaine, who became an outspoken feminist and spiritual advocate in the 1980s and 90s, quietly distanced herself from many old Hollywood figures, including Sinatra. When his funeral was announced, MacLaine shocked some friends by politely declining to attend. She explained privately that she could not celebrate a man whose personal choices she found morally troubling. Sinatra's treatment of women, his reported affairs, violent outbursts, and rumors of intimidation clashed deeply with MacLaine's values later in life. Her decision was seen as brave by some, petty by others, but it was entirely in keeping with her belief that principles mattered more than public image. 5. Angie Dickinson. A quiet snub rooted in heartbreak. Angie Dickinson, the sultry star of Police Woman and dozens of 60s films, was one of Frank Sinatra's longest rumored romantic partners. Their relationship was complicated. They dated off and on for years, with gossip columnists chronicling their every encounter. But insiders claim that Sinatra broke Dickinson's heart more than once, leaving her for other women, refusing to commit, and always putting his music career ahead of personal relationships. When he finally married Barbara Marx in 1976, Dickinson reportedly felt betrayed. She had believed that she would be his wife someday. After that, she kept her distance. When Sinatra's funeral took place, Dickinson stayed away, not out of public anger, but quiet personal pain. Sources close to Dickinson said that attending would have reopened old wounds she spent decades trying to close. Instead, she grieved in private, choosing self-respect over public spectacle. 6. Lauren Bacall, a Cold War over Bogart. Lauren Bacall, the legendary actress and widow of Humphrey Bogart, had her own reasons for skipping Frank Sinatra's final farewell. After Bogart's death in 1957, Bacall briefly dated Sinatra, a relationship that ended disastrously when Sinatra reportedly ghosted her after news of their engagement leaked to the press. Bacall was humiliated and furious. She never forgave Sinatra for the public embarrassment. In her memoir, Bacall wrote sharply about the experience, hinting that Sinatra was cruel and cowardly in how he handled the relationship. Friends said she swore never to deal with him socially again. True to her word, Bacall declined the funeral invitation in 1998, telling friends she paid her respects long ago, in her own way, and that she refused to join a crowd, pretending the past hadn't happened. Her quiet snub was barely covered in the press, but revealed the deep scars left behind by Sinatra's personal behavior. The complex legacy of Frank Sinatra. These 6 absences at Frank Sinatra's funeral were not random or forgetful. They were statements. Each actor had history with Sinatra that left wounds too deep, betrayals too personal, or moral lines too firmly drawn to cross, even for one final goodbye. Sinatra's life was a dazzling storm of charisma, talent, and influence, but also of personal destruction, manipulation, and unchecked power. While millions of fans saw him as the ultimate entertainer, these 6 individuals knew another side, one that made attendance at his funeral impossible, even unthinkable. In Hollywood, silence can speak volumes. By not showing up to pay their respects, these actors told a final story, one of unresolved pain, moral boundaries, and the cost of being close to a man as legendary and dangerous as Frank Sinatra. As time passes, these stories remind us that fame never erases human failure, and that even the greatest stars leave behind shadows that no music or charm can cover. Which of these snubs surprised you the most? Do you think they were justified in refusing to attend Sinatra's funeral? Tell us your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more hidden Hollywood stories.